Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition. We turn out a poem 769. 1 and 1 are 1. So already we can see Emily's playing games here. What is it that she once said in a famous letter to a pal? Blessed be those who play, for those is the kingdom of heaven. Borrowing, of course, from Christ's famous passage of the Sermon on the Mount. Emily's playing games here, especially with basic math. 1 plus 1 is 2. Not to Emily, it's not. And she's going to try and explain her view of epistemological fallibilism. Wisher, the scholar, has called this poem a fully mature poem, which is an interesting thing for him to say. Our assumption is that you've been following our stuff at LearnStrong.net. Down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily is our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've worked through our set of introductory comments as well as the preceding 768 poems. We just finished with 768 when I hope. Now this is, we said, a poem about knowing things, epistemology, and more particularly the idea of fallibilism. In other words, I think I'm right, but I could be wrong. That notion that I could be wrong is central to how we read her epistemological view in this one. As well, I think Emily is wrestling and or dancing with both Plato and Dante in this classic poem. Let's read the poem and see how well it goes for us. 1 and 1 are 1. 2 be finished using. Well enough for schools, but for minor choosing. Life, just, or death, or the everlasting. More would be too vast for the soul's comprising. So, in its most simple rendition, well, there's things you know, like 1 plus 1 is 2. But think of this, guys. How much value is that knowledge? Really? Okay, so 1 plus 1 is 2. Oh, pat you on the head and say, nice job. Now, what does that mean in your life? For example, when it comes down to living or dying, what good is the notion of 1 plus 1 equals 2? For Emily, she'll play the game by saying 1 and 1 are 1. Notice the 1's all capitalized to let you know there's something symbolic happening here. She says 2 be finished using. I think maybe, think about the key word here is finished. That is to say, we're kind of done with seeing the world in its most simple ways. I mean, think about how 1 and 1 are 1. Well, you fall in love. You are 1 and 1. You decide to cohabitate for the rest of your lives. 1 and 1 become 1, not 2, right? That is to say, relationships, true relationships, a true friendship involves a coming together of two people, bodies, however you wish to think of it, that somehow comprise 1. This is the essence of what we understand of true love, right? 1 and 1 is 1. It's almost a reworking of the Platonic notion in Symposium that when you were born, your soul was split in half, and half of you went into you and half of you went into somebody else, and you're always looking for your soul mate, right? Notice she'll say 2 is well enough for schools. Emily's always jacking on schools and the education, the formal education. These are the things you need to know. This is what will help you get through your life. Really? 1 plus 1 is 2 is what's going to sustain me through my life? She says it's okay for schools, for minor choosing. By the way, a variant of minor was actually inner. And then she stuck with minor. A minor choosing. In other words, for the silly things of life, math helps. Yeah, okay, we can build a bridge because of 1 plus 1 is 2. Great. We can build school buildings because 1 plus 1 is 2. Great. But really, how important is 1 plus 1 is 2? I mean, as it relates to, notice the next word, life, dash, just, dash, or death, dash, or the everlasting. And there it is. That's the afterlife. You exist, but not for long. I mean, you ain't met no 200-year-old people. Which suggests that everybody gets to swing at the park for a very brief time, and then everybody's got to go to the van. And every child who's ever swung at the park doesn't want to go to the van. See, math only works to build things in this life. But what about the moment of death? all of a sudden our math doesn't seem to help us very much, she says. In other words, more beyond would be too vast for the soul's comprising. You'll remind yourself that she uses the word soul in 67 of her poems. We're going to see it again in the next poem, 770. What is she saying here at 2a? Well, I think she's arguing that the reality is that it's very uncertain about what happens after we die. And because of that uncertainty, math can only take us so far. The life of the mind, in other words, is rarely as simple as math. In other words, 1 plus 1 is 2. At 2b, I like the tone of this. I'd like you to jot down, what do you think the tone of this is? Is she making fun of math? Is she doing something serious here, or is she doing something playful? A lot of it I'll leave to you. At 3a, I'd like you to hear all the O sounds of this poem. When you're on your own, read it again out loud and hear all the O sounds. 1, 2, schools, choosing. You can go through the entire poem. It's almost as if she's going, math. Oh. Now, is that ridicule, or is that taking it seriously? It is funny to walk into any, and Plato his mind would be blown by this today, to walk into any school and down one hall is the math hall, and down the far other hall is the art hall. What? Well, yeah, that's because in the math department and the science department, we do serious work down there. And then there's that playing around stuff that we do in the art department or the English department or maybe the silly history department. See, she's going to make the argument that domains of knowledge, they only can take you so far. Certain kinds of expected objectivity and all the like. Math can only take you so far. And then what? Then what are you going to do? And of course, in some ways, this is her attempt, I think, to play around with Plato, as well as with Dante, no doubt, right? What are the things that matter the most in the afterlife? Well, the Divine Commedia will suggest it has something to do more than with math, right? We've given full lectures, of course, on Plato and Dante at learnstrong.net. Finally, at 3b, what are your thoughts about this? Is there more than just life and death? And is there afterlife? And to what degree does 1 plus 1 equals 2 have anything to do with stuff like that? Pardon to all the math teachers in the house, sorry.